If you're going to leave in the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, or 30 minutes of this masterclass, please leave right now. And why? Because I don't want you to learn something haphazardly. Because if you learn something, implement it in your marriage and you will make a mess of things. So if you're going to leave, if you don't have the time right now, please leave right now, no problem. But if you're going to be here till I leave, then write 100% in the chat box. And I want only people who are committed and serious, because I know that only men who are committed and serious, I call them as modern alphas. I call them as modern alphas, and those are the people I want to teach. So if you're going to be here till the end, write 100% in the chat box. Let me see who are those people. Let me call out some of the names of those of you are writing down. I will not be able to call out everybody's name. I can see Ashish, Deepak, Khatirish, Vinay, Aldrin. I can see Naveen, Umesh, and everybody else who are writing in to say 100%. And if you're going to stay till the end, I'm going to give you the solution to 120 problems men have in their marriage. 120 problems, starting from in-laws to interference of family to affair to your wife has blocked. What do you do? How many of you would like to get these solutions to 120 problems men have? Write me in the chat box. If you want to get a solution to these 120 problems, and I've got this working with thousands of men, I'm going to give you solutions. 120 problems in the form of videos. And it's only for people who are committed, who stay till the end. The second rule is this. Thank you so much. The second rule is this. For this masterclass, for you to attend, you got to have courage. Let me explain what I've seen, what I'm saying. Everybody that you have ever spoken to have told you that there is something wrong either with your wife or with you. If you have gone to your friends and you have spoken to your friends, you have told your problems, at the end of that, most probably they have said that there is something wrong with you, or most probably they have said that there is something wrong with your wife. Probably they have given you the advice, isko chhod do yaar, aur koi mil jayegi. Probably they have done that. Now, if you have gone to your in-laws, her parents, they have said that there is something wrong with you and you got to change. If that is true, write yes in the chat box. You have gone to your friends and your friends have said there is something wrong with you. You have gone to your in-laws and they have said that there is something wrong with them. And you have gone to your in-laws and they're saying the problem is with you or with your parents. But today, I'm going to prove to you. I'm going to prove to you that there is nothing wrong with you. I'm going to prove to you, no matter what your wife is saying, that you are just awesome. You're just awesome. I'm also going to prove to you that there is nothing wrong with your wife. I'm also going to prove to you that there is nothing wrong with your in-laws. Your in-laws are just reacting to the situation. There is nothing wrong with them. I'm going to prove to you that affair is not the problem in your marriage. I'm going to prove to you that her behavior, her attitude is not the problem in your marriage. I'm going to prove to you what is the real problem. And for that to listen to, you got to have the courage. If you have the courage, write C in the chat box. You have the courage to listen to the truth, then write C in the chat box. Because I'm going to tell you something that nobody has ever told you. And the third rule is this. I want only people who are committed. And one of the indicator of people who are committed and serious is that you are responding to my questions. Do you understand that I already know your problems? I already know your challenges. You don't have to tell me your problems. All that you have to do is learn, listen, and learn. Just listen and learn. If you can do that, write L and L in the chat box. L and L is listen and learn. And there would be, and the other reason is there are sometimes some of you will have a problem. Okay, I don't want to write it in the chat box because what will people think? And for that reason, I'm going to set my chat to only host and panelists. That means only I will be able to see your chat. If that is okay with you, that I set it to myself, only I can see it, nobody else, write PG in the chat box. That is permission granted. So that nobody get distracted. If somebody writes something about their problems, you don't have to read it. You get distracted, and I don't want that to happen. You have 100% focus. For that, can I set my chat to only host and panelist? If that is okay with you, write PG in the chat box. PG is permission granted. Thank you so much, gentlemen. And from here onwards, only I will be seeing your messages. Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So let's continue. So with these three things, right now, I'm going to show you why you are having problems. Are you ready? Let's begin. The reason why you have problems in your marriage is not because you're a bad guy. The reason why you have problems in your marriage is not because your wife is a problem. The reason because why you have problems in your marriage is not because you don't love your family. I know that you love your family. You have done so much for your family. If it is yes, write yes in the chat box. You have really taken care of them. You work so hard for the family, not for yourself, but for the family. And in most cases, you are not the kind who drinks and smokes and wastes money and all that. You're really committed, you're responsible. You are somebody who really loves your child. If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. You have tried everything. You have asked for forgiveness. You have begged her. You have understood her problems. You have done everything. And in spite of all these things, there's a problem in your marriage. Would you like to know why? It is because your wife doesn't consider you as a modern alpha. That is the reason. Are you ready to learn who is a modern alpha? Here is a modern alpha. So the word alpha means the leader, head. Now for time immemorial, the version of alpha had changed. So let me start with thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago, when a woman got married to a man, let me share my screen with you. So thousands of years ago, when a woman got to a man, let's come here. Yeah. What happened was, let me just go to the next part and then I'll come back to this. Thousands of years ago, what happened was when a man got married to a woman, what did she want in a man? At that time, the man, we used to live in the jungle. The man would go out there, hunt, and bring an animal home, and everybody will eat. So, what kind of a man a woman wanted? A man who was very good at hunting. And that is the kind of a man a woman got attracted to and decided to stay with him and have children. Now, this is the first kind of alpha. Then things started changing over a period of time. Things started changing and moved to the next level. And in the next phase of this modern alpha space, what happened to the woman is the biggest problem was this was the agrarian phase. The biggest problem was safety of the woman. So the kind of man that a woman liked is the man who was really strong, who can protect his wife. And if she found a man like that, she was very happy with that kind of a man. And then we came about 50, 60 years ago when our parents were getting married. And at that particular time, the next kind of alpha emerged. And the kind of alpha that emerged was a man who had money, who had a house, who didn't drink, who didn't smoke. And if a woman had a man like that, because the woman was not working, she was dependent on the man, she needed the man for everything. So if the man was like this, sufficient, self-sufficient, she liked a man like that. And when you got married, if you had an arranged marriage, most probably your in-laws chose some for themselves, a son-in-law like you, who had a job, who had security, who had a car, who came from a good family. That was the kind of man a woman, your in-laws chose. Now, here is an interesting part. Is it that today a woman wants to live with a man who only has money? No, because if she wants money, she can earn for herself and even earn more than us. Does she want to be with a man who can give her children? No, she can go to any fertility center and get a baby for herself. She doesn't need a man for that. Does she need a man to get respect in the society? No, she can get respect for herself from her achievements. So what does she need a man for? And this is where you will understand, because you would be saying to yourself until now that I have done everything, I have been taking it. That is gone. That era is gone. If a woman wants anything today, she's independent to get it. She doesn't need a man. So what does she need a man for? The reason she needs a man for is for companionship, emotional companionship. And in order to have a man who is emotionally to have that emotional companionship, the man has to be emotionally intelligent. But emotional intelligence is not taught to us in school or college. What we were taught is work really hard, study really hard, get a job, get a car, get a house, get investment, and everything will be fine. If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. So nobody taught us about emotional intelligence. Nobody taught us about understanding our own emotions. Nobody taught us about understanding the other people's emotions. Nobody taught us about how to communicate when you are upset, when you are angry. Nobody taught us that. How do we understand a woman's psychology? Nobody's taught us that. And that is the reason we have problems in our marriage. How many of you had a bulb on moment? Write BO in the chat box. And all those of you who think that your friends and relatives are telling you, "Arey yaar, is shadi se, get out of this marriage, you can get married to somebody better." What is going to happen in your second marriage? The person you're going to get married in the second marriage is also going to be a woman. What is she going to expect from you? The same thing. And if you're not emotionally intelligent, what is going to happen to your second marriage? The same thing will repeat. And that's why today in the West, people are in their second marriage, the people are in their third marriage, people are in their fourth marriage and still not happy. The men are still sad. And this situation is going to come to India. It has already come. People are in their second marriage and they're attending my class. If this is making sense, write making sense in the chat box, write MS in the chat box. So when I understood this, when I started working, I'm going to tell you my story later, but when I started understanding this, when I started working on myself, when I started becoming that modern alpha, everything started changing in my life. My wife fell in love with me. We started having a great physical intimacy. And then I started teaching it to other men. And they came back to me and they started telling me, "Well, things have started changing in my relationship. We are getting each other's best friends. We were not having any sex. Now we have started having sex." That is the kind of stuff men started coming back to me and telling me. So my question for you is, how many of you are really committed? How many of you are really serious? How many of you are really committed to learn this science and become that modern alpha so that you don't have to beg in front of your wife, so that you don't have to worry about your in-laws? Your wife will be madly in love with you. And let me tell you one important thing. It is the decision that you make today will impact your life. Impact your life. So before I get in and start talking, I want to be very, very clear who this masterclass is for, so that you make a decision to be here and or not. Because I want people who are really, really committed and serious. So who's this masterclass for? This masterclass is for you if you are together, but there is no love in your relationship. How many of you are like that? Write me in the chat box. If you're together, living in the same house, but there is no love. You're not sleeping in each other's arms. You're not hugging each other. You're not kissing each other. There are fights happening, arguments happening. Write me in the chat box. The second thing is, if you're separated at this moment and your wife has clearly told you that I don't want to come back, this masterclass is for you because it will help you to get your wife back. Those of you who are going through a divorce process right now and you have tried everything under the sun, astrology, counseling, churches, visiting churches, temples, pujas, mosque, everything, and nothing has worked, this masterclass is for you. If you're already divorced and you want to get married again, or you want to get your wife back, this masterclass is for you. If you are blocked on all channels, there is no way to connect with your wife, then this masterclass is for you. Sixth one is, if there is interference from your in-laws, this masterclass is for you. The next one is, if your wife is having an affair with somebody and you want to end that affair, or you had an affair, your wife just found out and you're going through a very difficult phase in your marriage, this masterclass is for you. If you are not married at this moment and you're going through a breakup, this masterclass is for you. And now, how many of you think that this masterclass is for you? Having seen this, write me in the chat box. Write me in the chat box. Having seen this, you feel that, this is for me. Write me in the chat box. And on the other side, who is this masterclass not for? If you belong to any of these categories, this is a time for you to leave. Don't waste your time. The first one is, your marriage is perfect and you have no desire to learn. If this is you, please leave this masterclass. This is not for you. The second thing is, you don't want to take responsibility for your life. You want to blame other people. You want to blame situations. You want to blame your in-laws. You want to blame her boyfriend. You want to blame your stars. You want to blame your planets. You want to blame your numbers. Please leave this masterclass, because nobody can change their life by blaming others. Okay. The third one is, you are not willing to put any efforts into your marriage. You want things to change by themselves. Leave this masterclass. It is not for you. The fourth one is, you want quick magic fixes. without taking any action. You want me to give you a mantra like those Babas and all those guys give you, and you say that mantra 108 times a day and your wife will come back. This class is not for you if you're like that. Go to all those people who give you mantras, try them, when they're not working, you can come back here. The next one is, if you do not believe in investing in your growth and personal development, at the end of this class, I'm going to offer you an opportunity to continue this journey of working on yourself, becoming that modern alpha, turning things around, growing in your profession. I'm going to give you that opportunity. And if you are somebody who believe in investing in your growth and personal development, I want you to stay here. So with all this, if this is clear, write clear in the chat box or write C in the chat box. You're very, very clear of what I'm saying so that you really have the understanding that whether you should be here or not. Perfect. So before I start with teaching you all about this, is it okay if I tell you about what happened to me? What are the challenges I faced, the struggles I went through, and what really helped me? Because as I'm teaching you, as I'm going to tell you my story, my struggles, I'm also going to teach you what did I do exactly to bring back love. If that is okay with you, write yes in the chat box. Right? Yes in the chat box if that is okay with you. If I share with you exactly what I did, what are the things what are the problems I went through and what brought back love. Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much, each one of you. I can see your messages. Even though nobody else can see your messages, I can see your messages. Excellent. Thank you so much, each one of you. And let's start with the first thing. So for the first 6 years of my career, I was a school teacher. Along the way, I realized that I wanted to get into counseling and psychotherapy. So I gave up teaching. I did my master's in counseling and psychotherapy. I did my training in life coaching, and I started working with all these organizations. On the personal front, I knew Pallavi when we went to college. So when we got married, we knew each other for 12 years. How about your marriage? Is it arranged marriage or love marriage? Ask for the love marriage. So how about your marriage? Is it arranged marriage or love marriage? If it is arranged, write A. If it is love, write L. So let me just look at my chat box and let me see. Arranged, arranged, love, arranged, 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 love, love, love. Awesome, 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 each one of you. Thank you so much. Love, matrimony, arranged, love, love, love. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Each one of you, thank you so much for responding. So ask for the love marriage. So in fact, generally people have one wedding. We had 3 weddings. We got married according to the Hindu customs and traditions. We got married according to the Christian customs and traditions. And then we got married in the church. So when we got married in the church, and initially everything was beautiful in our marriage. There was a lot of love, there was a lot of connection, a lot of physical intimacy, hugs and kisses. How many of you remember at least few days of this? Write me in the chat box, where everything was beautiful. For some of you, it was like 1 or 2 days and then problems started. For some of you, it was there for 1 week and then the problem started. For some of you, it was for 1 month, then the problem started. But initially, everything was fine. Write me in the chat box. And this was us. And you know why? I thought that the reason why we have this kind of a connection is because we know each other for 12 years. I thought that separation, divorces, all that happened for people who are in arranged marriages, because in an arranged marriage, you don't know the other person. You get married and then suddenly realize that, we are not compatible. So in arranged marriages, problem happen. Love marriages are perfect. Today, I feel that I was stupid. Then I had seen people in love marriages falling apart. So I said to myself, how long do they know each other? We know each other for 12 years. So our marriage is going to be awesome. And it was. There was a lot of love. There was a lot of connection, a lot of understanding. But slowly, things started going wrong. We started having fights. We started having arguments. And when I started seeing fights and arguments in my marriage, I said, ye to common hai. This happens in everybody's house. Have you seen a family where husband and wife don't fight? I had not seen one. So I thought that this is no problem. This happens in every family. If you don't have fight, then there is something wrong. And the fights between us did not go down. Came to a stage, I said to myself, I can't live like this with my wife criticizing me, nagging me, arguments, fights. I can't live like this. And at that particular point, I sat down with my wife and said to myself that I need to talk to my wife and explain to her. Try to convince her. How many of you have done this? I did that. Guess what happened? I thought that she would understand me. Didn't happen. We had a fight. We had an argument. No talking for the next 5 days. Came to a point. I said to myself, what's the point in talking to my wife? She doesn't want to understand. She doesn't care. I kept my mouth shut. The best thing, the solution to fights is keeping my mouth shut. I did that. And I'm sure that some of you have done that as well. You said to yourself, I'm going to be patient. Of course, the fights between us went down. Arguments went down. But the truth is, the love also went down. Came to a point, one evening, Pallavi came to me and she said to me, Val, I don't want to be with you. I want to leave you. I was shocked. I didn't know, how is this possible? I thought I was a great guy. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I work really hard. I focus on my family. I'm at home, when I need to be at home. How can this happen to me? I thought that I was a perfect husband. And not only that, I started feeling miserable. I started feeling frustrated. I started feeling angry. I started feeling irritated. I started feeling depressed. How many of you are going through this right now? Right with you in the chat box. Totally lost, totally confused. You have tried everything. Right with you in the chat box. Like, why is it happening with me? I thought I was perfect. Right with you in the chat box. You're feeling like that. And every one of you are writing in to say with you, I understand the pain you're going through. This is where I was. And you know what happens at this particular stage in our lives when we men go through this pain and struggles? We go to our friends and relatives asking for advice. Have you done that? Gone to your friends and relatives asking for advice? And if I had gone to my friends and relatives asking for advice, they would have ruined my marriage. How? Not because they are bad people, they're good people, but they're not experts. They would have listened to my problem and they would have said to me that, why don't you talk to her? And I would tell them, I've tried everything, but my wife doesn't want to understand. What can I do? And they would have said that, Arey, isko chhod do aur koi mil jayegi. Or they would have said, go for a family meeting. I would tell them that I've also gone for a family meeting. Her parents are not willing to understand. They would have said, Arey, isko chhod do aur koi mil jayegi. And if I have listened to them, I would have ruined my life. Forget about my marriage. I would have ruined my life. And I'm going to prove to you today why. And it doesn't mean that you have to stay in a miserable marriage. I'm going to prove to you it is not about your wife. It's not about the problems. It is about something deeper. So what did I do? Instead of going to my friends and relatives, I went to the internet looking for answers. When I went to the internet looking for answers, I was blown away by the research that was done. So I bought these books. I decided to invest in books, courses, seminars. I bought everything possible. How many of you are like me who really want peace in your house? Write me in the chat box. You want peace in your house. This is the most important thing. You want love in your house. Because that is happiness in your house. Write me in the chat box. That was me. So I invested in books and courses and I started learning. And as I started learning, I learned a lot of things, but I'm going to teach you two of them. Please take your pen and paper and make note of this. The first thing I learned is this. Relationships work on the third principle of Newton. And when I say relationships, I'm talking about intimate relationships. And what is the third principle of Newton? Every action has equal and opposite reaction. Every action has equal and opposite reaction. So whatever my wife was doing was a reaction to my action. She was not talking to me. She was fighting with me. Everything was a reaction to my action. The second thing I learned is very important. And that is our brain is wired to hide my action and highlight my partner's reaction. In other words, I was only able to see my wife's mistakes. I was not able to see my mistakes. How many of you it is happening for you? That you're only able to see where she is going wrong, but you're not able to see your own mistakes. And then I realized that it's not that I'm hiding my mistakes. It is my brain is hiding my mistakes. It is not showing me my mistakes. So when I started going through these courses, books, I understood clearly where I was going wrong. What are the mistakes I was doing? And what are the ways I got to change? And as I started changing, the love came back, the understanding came back. We became each other's best friends. And since then, we have traveled so many places, so many struggles that we have gone through. And amazing. We are the best friends of each other. Today, we are married for 9 years. had been in relationship for 20, going to be 21 years, best friends of each other. How is this possible? Because of learning relationship science, because I became a modern alpha husband. And when my wife started seeing changes in me, she started changing. So I'm going to play a short video for you where Pallavi talks about our marriage, because I want you to get inspired by Pallavi as well, because someday your wife is going to tell me that, I have changed because of my husband. And that is the power. And the beautiful compliment that you can ever get is the compliment from your wife. So I'm going to share this and I want you to get inspired. If I can do it, why not you? So listen to Pallavi and our story of transformation.
Congratulations for having signed up for this webinar. My marriage with Valerian has taught me two things. First of all, that you can single-handedly convert your marriage from being good to being awesome. And the second one is that to make your marriage awesome, you need to learn the relationship science. All throughout my life, I have been thinking that marriage is confining, binding, and anything but good. But being married to Val has changed all the beliefs. And my married life has been just awesome. Not that we have not had any challenges. We have a lot of difficulties and differences within us. But because Val has learned the marriage science and the relationship science, he has worked on himself and never has told me what to do, never given me advice. And seeing changes in him changed me. As a professional, he brings in close to 2 decades of experience in coaching, counseling, leadership facilitating, and training. And in the past, he has trained thousands of young couples preparing for marriage. He has had the unique opportunity of understanding different kinds of marriage in different parts of the world. For example, the matrilineal marriages in the Khasi tribe of Meghalaya to the marriages of the Maasai tribe in Tanzania, Africa. And I'm very glad that now you're going to learn all the techniques from him. The best part of this webinar is that he's not going to give you any age-old relationship advice. Instead, he's going to teach you all about relationship science in adult love and marriage and about relationship laws. So enjoy your session. All the best for you and your marriage. You're truly on your way to make your marriage awesome.
That's right. You're truly on your way to making your marriage awesome. So before I start looking into your problems and start solving your problems, I want to find out whether we have the same values. So is it okay if I'm going to share what are my biggest values, so that if you are aligned with it, then I'll be able to help you, because when our values are aligned, we can go a long way. So the first value is I want peace around me. Are you like me, right? Yes, in the chat box. If peace is a very, very important thing in your life, where you don't want fights, you don't want arguments, you want peace in your house. If that is like me, right? Yes, in the chat box. This is me. I don't want to have fights and arguments when I get up in the morning. When I come back in the evening, I don't want to have fights and arguments. This is you, right? Yes, in the chat box. The second biggest value that I have is love. I want to feel loved and love people who matter to me. If that is you, write me in the chat box, and especially by my wife. I want to love my wife and I want to feel loved by my wife. If that is you, write yes in the chat box. And the third biggest value that I have is personal growth. Because I know that everything around me grows when I invest in my personal growth. If I want to grow my business, the first thing I got to invest in is not ads, not marketing, personal growth. If you agree, write agree in the chat box. If I got to invest, if I want my health to improve, the first thing I got to invest in yoga. I need to invest in training. I need to invest in gym. If you agree, write agree in the chat box. If I want to have a great marriage, then I got to invest in relationship science courses and books. If you agree, write agree in the chat box. So these are my three biggest values. And having understood these values, right now, let us look into your problems. Let us start trying solving your problems. So first, let us diagnose. What are the problems are you facing right now? Let's diagnose them. First, let's look at them. And then let's diagnose them and then solve them, just like a doctor. You're ready? If you're ready, super ready, right? SR in the chat box if you're ready to solve your own problems right now. Ready? So let's first diagnose the problems. So All those of you are together, living in the same house. There is no love, right? T in the chat box. And I'm going to show you exactly what to do. T is together. T is together. Good. I can see. Awesome. I can see few of you writing in. You're together, living in the same house. Thank you so much. Awesome. Awesome. Let those T's come in. If you're living in the same house, write T in the chat box. Now, all those of you are living in the same house. There is no love. There is no connection. These are the 8 challenges that I've recognized in people who are living in the same house. And I want you to tell me which are your biggest challenges. Okay, you ready? The first challenge, and you, let the end, I'll ask you, out of these 8, which is your 3 biggest, and you tell me the number. Number 1 challenge, negative or no communication from your wife. Either your wife is criticizing you or your wife is not talking to you. Second challenge, your in-laws are interfering in your marriage. The third challenge, you're stuck between your parents and wife. On one side, your mother is saying, aise karo, your wife is saying, waise karo, and you're stuck between both, you're sandwiched. The fourth problem is your wife is criticizing you all the time. The next one is your wife doesn't want to understand your side of the story. She's only blunt. She only wants you to understand. The sixth one is there is no physical intimacy. The seventh one is your wife is having an affair. The eighth one is your children are suffering because of all these fights and arguments. Choose 3 big ones and write it in the chat box. I'll not be able to call out everybody's number, but I'll call out as many as possible. So 7 is the biggest problem that you're facing. Thank you for sharing that. What is the 6, 7, 8 is the 3 biggest problems you're facing. 4 is the biggest problem you're facing. 1, 3, 5, 6, 8 are the biggest problems you're facing. Perfect, perfect. I'll just call out few more. I'll not be able to call out everyone. 3, 4, 7 is the biggest problem you're facing. 4, 5, 6 is the biggest problems. 6 is the biggest problem. All right. Now, all those of you are going through a separation or going through a divorce process, write S for separation, D for divorce process. If you are not married and you're going through a breakup, write B in the chat box. So I can see S, D, D, S, S, D, S, D, D. Keep going. S, S. Keep going. Thank you so much. D. Perfect. Divorce process. All right. Now, these are the 8 problems you could be facing. You tell me which are the 3 big ones. The first biggest problem you're facing is you're blocked on all channels. There is no way to connect with your wife. The second one is your wife digging the past. That means when you go to a house, when you meet her, when you talk to her over the phone, she always says, 3 years ago you did this, 5 years ago you did this, 3 or 4 years ago your mother did this. So she's talking about all these past things. The next one is threats from family, her family and your wife. I'm going to destroy your career. I'm going to destroy your life. We are going to put allegations. We are going to show you all that is happening. The fourth one is wife has made up her mind. She has clearly told you this marriage is over. Don't talk to me. The next one is, fifth one is false cases. There are false cases. This is especially for those of you who are going through a divorce process. There are false cases which are put on you, which you have not done, your parents have not done, but there are false cases on you. The sixth one is interference from your in-laws. In-laws are supporting your wife rather than supporting you. The next one is your wife is having an affair. Eighth one is your children are suffering because of all these fights, because of all this argument, your children are suffering. What are your 3 biggest ones? Start. So 2, 2, 1, 4, 2, 1, 2, 4, 6, 8. Everyone, thank you so much. I'll not be able to read out everybody, but I want everybody to write it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate 6, 7, 8, 2, 4, 8, 2 and 4, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of them. Thank you so much, each one of you. 1, 4, 3. Let's go to the next one. Now, because of these problems, you are having the personal challenges at this moment. And what are the personal challenges? I have recognized 8 personal challenges that I see men going through when they have problem in their marriage, whether they are together, separated, or going through a divorce. The first problem that you are having is there is no peace of mind. If that is true, write true in the chat box. You don't have peace of mind. Because of all this that is happening, you're not at peace. If it is true that you are irritated all the time, right? I in the chat box, I is irritated. Right? I in the chat box, if you are irritated all the time, you are angry at the workplace, with your parents, with everybody around, right? A in the chat box, A is for angry. Thank you so much. Right? A in the chat box if you are angry all the time. If you are addicted to something, right? AD in the chat box. Maybe your smoking has gone up, your drinking has gone up, or you're watching too much of pornography or any of these addictions, right? AD in the chat box. Thank you so much for writing that. And thank you so much for being honest. The next one is you're frustrated all the time, right? F in the chat box if you're frustrated all the time. The next one is your physical health is affected at this moment, right? P in the chat box. Your physical health is affected at this moment, right? P in the chat box if your physical health is affected in some way or the other. The next one is either you're depressed, you're lonely, or suicidal, right? D in the chat box. D is depressed. Right, D in the chat box if you are going through depression right now. Thank you so much, each one of you, for writing in. And finally, you feel that you have everything but no happiness, right? NH in the chat box. NH is no happiness. You have everything, but there is no happiness in your life. Right? NH in the chat box. Thank you so much, each one of you, for writing this in. First of all, I want to acknowledge you and appreciate you for writing that and recognizing that these are the challenges you're going through. Now, guys, are you ready to understand why this is happening? If you are ready, write SR in the chat box. Why this is happening? Why are you ended up with the separation? Why are you ended up with the divorce? If you're together, then in the next 5 months, 6 months, 1 year, you'll be end up with the separation or divorce. Why is it going to happen? Write SR in the chat box if you're super ready. Now, when I spoken to thousands of men and I asked them, why do you think this is happening? And you know what they say? The first answer they give me is it's because of my wife's nature. And what do I say when I say, what do you mean by your wife's nature? They say that my wife always criticizes me. My wife is always angry. My wife is always doesn't understand. She is a single child. When she was small, this is what happened. And that is why. That's what if you are thinking, write yes in the chat box. That it was something to do with your wife, write yes in the chat box. The second problem that they say is the problem is with me. The problem is with me, but I have changed myself, but my wife doesn't want to understand. If that is you, write me in the chat box. You have realized that your problem is with you and you have realized it and your wife doesn't want to accept and forgive you. Write me in the chat box. The third thing that people say is that our numbers are not matching. I have checked my palm and there is some rekha is not missing or this there or some planets are not matching. Somebody told me that planets are not matching. That's why I'm having problems, right? Me in the chat box if that's what you are thinking. There are some of you I've heard saying that, the reason why we are having problems in our marriage is my wife is having an affair with somebody else. And that person, the third person is the problem in my marriage. Write A in the chat box. A is affair. Write A in the chat box. Write A in the chat box. And then there are some of you who would be saying that my in-laws are the problems. Write in-laws in the chat box. My in-laws are the problem. That's why. Now, if these are the problems in your marriage, then you will think that the solution is get out of this marriage. The solution is get out of this marriage because your wife doesn't want to understand. You have tried everything. You have tried begging her. You have tried asking for forgiveness. You have tried everything, but she doesn't want to understand. So get out of this marriage and then you will find somebody new and you can start fresh and everything will be solved. But today, I'm going to tell you the real reason. And you will have this problem whether you marry once, second time, third time, fourth time, and 100th time. You'll have the same problem. And it is not about our ego. It is not about your in-laws. It is not about that you made a mistake. It is one single problem. How many of you want to know? Write me in the chat box. Write me in the chat box. Because if you don't understand this one single problem, 5 years later, 3 years later, you will be attending my same masterclass. The only difference will be you will be with your second wife. That will be the only difference. Everything else will be same. Either you will be with your second wife and you're fighting, or your wife has second wife has left you and you want her to come back, or your second wife has applied for a divorce and you want her to withdraw the divorce cases. But between now to the 5 years, you would have wasted your life. You have wasted your energy. Your career will be destroyed. Because if you're going through all the problems and you're going to go through the same problems again, are you ready? For you to understand the real problem in your marriage, you got to understand a little bit of relationship science. So I'm going to go deep into it, have a book and a pen to make notes. So what is the problem? No matter who you get married, no matter how many times you get married, your marriage supposed to go through 3 stages. But 70% of the time, this marriage doesn't go to the 3rd stage. It gets stuck at the 2nd stage. So let's look at the 3 stages. The first stage of your marriage is called the romance stage. The second stage of your marriage is called the power struggle stage. The 3rd stage of your marriage is called mature love. Let's go step by step into understanding it. The romance stage. When you get married to your wife, every marriage starts in the 21st century starts with romance stage. For some people, this romance stage is for 1 day. For some people, it is 1 week. For some people, it is 1 month. For some people, it is 2 years. No matter who you get married, no matter how many times you get married, whether you marry somebody from your own religion or outside the religion, same caste, outside caste, somebody after going to 15 astrologers and 15 temples, doing all the pujas in the world, no matter whatever you do is going to come to an end. And then you move into the next stage called the power struggle stage. And during the power struggle stage, you start having fights, you start having arguments. There is no connection, there is no understanding. And then obviously your parents get interfere in your marriage, her parents interfere in your marriage. Then you start having family meeting doesn't work. Then you go to the lawyer says divorce is the only way. And then you get divorced. And then what happens? Then you say to yourself, Arey, let me not get married again. But there's a lot of pressure from your family. After about 2 years, 3 years, you go to secondshadi.com, you get married to somebody else, and initially beautiful, everything is fine. And you say to yourself, thank God, everything is perfect. I married the perfect girl. The problem was with the first wife, and this lady is perfect. But 90% of the time, who have you got married to? You have got married to a divorcee. What is the perception that she has about marriage? Positive or negative? Negative, obviously. What is the perception she has about husband? Positive or negative? Negative. So within no time, you'll get into power struggle. And the cycle repeats. But you might ask me the question, but in olden days, there were no divorces, there were no separations, but you are saying 7 out of 10 marriages never crossed the power struggle stage. It is true. I'll prove it to you right now. Have you seen jokes about husband and wife? Are they positive or negative? All of them, 90% of them are negative, where husband and wife are fighting. Why? Because most people's experience of their marriage is negative. Look at the sayings that we have about marriage. Shadi barbadi. Shadi ka laddu jo khayega wo bhi pachtaega, jo nahi khayega wo bhi pachtaega. Because most people's experience of their marriage is negative. It is just that in olden days, a woman could not leave the husband. That's why there were no divorces, separations. How many of you had a bulb on moment, right? BO in the chat box. Bulb on moment. It means that today, if you get out of this marriage without learning relationship science, in the next 3 years, you'll get married to one more woman. Probably she will be a divorcee. And then everything will start beautifully. And within the 1 week of the marriage, or 1 month of the marriage, or 1 year of the marriage, you will start having problems again. In the next 4 years, you will be attending this class again. And I'm going to prove to you with stats right now. This is the divorce rate in the US. In India, we don't have this kind of a divorce rate. Plus, we don't have this kind of a statistics. But what I want you to look at the pattern. And the pattern is the same. The divorce rate for the second marriage is higher than the divorce rate for the first marriage. The divorce rate for the third marriage is higher than the divorce rate for the second marriage. I'm showing you data right now to prove to you that it is not about your in-laws. It is not about the affair. It's not about your kundali. It's not about any of these things. It is because you don't know how to get out of the power struggle stage. Is this making sense to you? Write MS in the chat box. And then I'm going to teach you the solution. Right? MS in the chat box if this is making sense to you. So now if you are stuck in power struggle, what is the next step? The next step is moving to mature love stage. That means you and your wife becoming each other's best friends. your wife considering you as her best friend, her life companion. That is the solution. How do you do it? I'm going to show you in the next 15-20 minutes. But I want you to understand that it is not getting out of this marriage. It is not, living in this miserable marriage. Because if you continue to live in this miserable marriage, within the 1 year, your wife is going to leave you. In 5 years of marriage. Why? Because before that, she couldn't leave him. That's why she suffered and then she left. How many of you are getting it? Write GT in the chat box. Write GT in the chat box. That is got that. Got that. Got that. And how do you solve it? How do you become that mature love? How do you become each other's best friends? I'm going to show you. I'm going to train you right now. But first, you have to get this. You have to get out of that mindset of, oh, in-laws are the problem. That's why it's happening. Affair the problem. Her childhood is the problem. And you will have similar problems. And you get married to the third time, you'll have the similar problems. Your problems will not go away until and unless you learn to get out of the power struggle and become each other's best friend. How do you do that? It's not by sending your wife for some training. It is not by attending couple counseling. It is by you becoming a modern alpha. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And before I do that to you, all those of you are together, I'm going to show you, I'm going to give you a proof of evidence that this system works. How many of you want a proof? Those of you are together, having fights, having arguments. How many of you want a proof? Write me in the chat box. Then I'll teach you how to do that. But first, how many of you want a proof that this system works? Write me in the chat box. You're together. Awesome. I can see so many of you want a proof. Excellent. I'm going to give you a proof right now. Most of you wouldn't have been married for the time that I'm going to show you right now. This guy is married for 22 years. 22 years. And he brought back love. He brought back love. There were fights happening. There were arguments happening. There was no love. He wanted to leave his wife. He was going through depression. He didn't know what to do. And at that particular point, he realized that there is nothing wrong with his marriage. It was just that they were stuck in power struggle. And he really, like many of you, really loved his children. So he said to himself that I don't want to live in this miserable marriage because I got one life. And what is the point in earning all the money in the world? And when I come home, there is no peace in my house. There's no love in my house. My wife is not hugging me. She's not giving me a kiss. What is the point in having everything? And he started learning and listen to what happened to him. If he can do it, all those of you are together in the next 6 months, you will be able to turn your marriage around. Listen to him because he did it in 1 month. Listen to his story.
Married in 96. It's going to be 22 years now.
How was your relationship before we embarked on this journey of coaching?
Oh, it was, I thought at the end of it, I wanted to separate, and I told quite a few people it's not going to work out. And probably for a couple of months, we were not in talking terms, we were sleeping in separate rooms. And, I said, that's it. And I was kind of depressed that time. Maybe I was in a depression. Because my thing was how to live alone. Mm-hmm. After your third or fourth session, slowly I came back and finally now fully again, just like a newly married couple. I didn't know this kind of help was available actually. I thought only go to a counselor or psychiatrist. I didn't want to. I'd really like to thank you, Val, for all this support and your advice and the guidance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now things are very good with us, with my wife and children, and hope to continue the same way.
If you are inspired right now listening to his story, write I can in the chat box. All those of you are going together, write I can in the chat box. If he can do it, was married for so many years, going through so much of pain, going through depression. He wanted to get out of this marriage. He had 3 children and he could bring back love. You can. Right? I can in the chat box. Right? I can in the chat box. You can. You have the power. What you need is the training that I'm going to give you right now. Ready? Now, all those of you are going through a separation, going through a divorce process. Can I tell you why everything that you have tried has not worked? I know that you have gone to churches, temples, mosques, people who tell you your hand, astrologers, babas, everything that you have done. You have, how many of you have done any of these things? Write me in the chat box, and I'm going to show you why it didn't work. Write me in the chat box. How many of you have gone to your wife and begged her, said that, please, 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 please forgive me. I love you. I care about you. Think about you. Give me ek chance. Ek chance de do. How many of you have done? Write I in the chat box. You have begged your wife. You have said to your wife that, please forgive me. I've realized my mistake. I'm not going to do like that anymore. Please give me one more chance. Write I in the chat box. Write I in the chat box if you have done that. And you have not got a chance. How many of you have gone for a family meeting? You have taken your parents to her house to convince her about your marriage. Write I in the chat box. Or write FM in the chat box. Write FM in the chat box. FM is family meeting. And it has not worked. It has not worked. Would you like to know why? Would you like to know why? Write yes in the chat box. Because it is all science, gentlemen. It is not rocket science. It is so simple science. And nobody has ever taught us this. And that's why we go through so much of pain, depression, frustration, anger. Our wife doesn't love us, doesn't care about us. And we are successful outside. We are achieving everything. But when it comes to home, we are zero. We are hero on the street, but zero at home. Why? I'll help you understand. When you beg your wife, does your respect go up in your wife's eyes or comes down? Write in the chat box. You have the answer now. Up, then write up, down, then write down. When you ask for forgiveness and she knows that you're asking for forgiveness because you want to get her back. And she says to you, Arey, kitni bar maafi mangoge? I don't believe in your sorries. Probably your wife has told you that. Does the respect goes up for you or goes down? And then you go there and you say to your wife that, हमारे दो बच्चे हैं, we got to compromise, क्या कर सकते हैं, एक बात आती है जाती है, you got to adjust, you got to live with me. Your wife's respect for you goes up or down? Write it in chat box. And then you take your family, and over there, your family and her family are fighting over there. And she is angry, she is frustrated. Do you think her respect for you goes up or down? How many of you got the answer? How many of you got the answer? Write me in the chat box if you got the answer. Now I'm going to show you somebody who didn't use any of these things. No begging, no convincing. And his marriage it's nothing like anybody has gone through. He was married for 5 days. How many days? 5 days. Not 5 weeks, 5 months like many of you, but 5 days. And when he got married, after 5 to 7 days, they had a huge fight, huge argument. And when they had this huge fight and argument, what happened to him is his wife left him. Once his wife left him, he made all the mistakes that you have done. Going to her, begging her, asking for forgiveness. He had gone to temples, he had done pujas, he had done counseling, everything. Nothing worked. And as things were going on, she filed for a case. Their case went into the High Court of Maharashtra. And when it went to the High Court of Maharashtra, they had been fighting the divorce case for 5 years. How many years? 5 years. He attended a class like this. He joined the training program. He got trained to become a modern alpha. He started connecting with her as a modern alpha. Every time he connected, the only place he got to connect with his wife was the court. Nowhere else, because he was blocked. There was no way to connect. And every meeting that he had in the court, he behaved like a modern alpha. How to become that? I'll teach you. He behaved like a modern alpha. His wife started noticing. Then she went through that process of, there are 5 steps. I'm going to teach you that as well. And then magic happened. Somebody was married for 5 days, going through a divorce case for 5 years. Their case was in the High Court of Maharashtra. If he can do it, listen to his amazing, amazing story.
Soon after our marriage, We have some conflicts in our home, and it turns into big conflicts. And hardly after 5 days or 7 days after our marriage, she left me. She went to her house, and then my parents and her parents, they intervene, and they think they do things more complicated, and then the relatives, and then the neighbors, the friends, and all things. And I did the same mistake all of us do. I keep on telling my friends and my relatives that I am facing this, I am facing this, what to do, and all those wrong advices make my problems worst, nothing else. Then I tried everything. I tried uh, visiting to temples. I tried meditation. Then I tried counseling. Then we had many counseling sessions in court also, but nothing worked. Then I was losing my hopes. Then we were fighting with each other in courts very aggressively. Our case went in the high court of our state. So it was the last court of our state. So you can estimate with how much aggression we were fighting with each other. And our cases were on their end stage. Okay. And somewhere with the grace of God,
For how many years was this going on?
5 years. It took 5 years of my life. Okay. Me and my wife's life. It took 5 years. Okay. Then somewhere by God's grace, I meet or I read about Walzer. So the first time in my life, or the first time in last 5 years, actually Wall was the first person who showed me the mirror. Okay. So how I am wrong. Then I started attending session. I started reading. Then I was just following him, and then slowly, the things started changing in a positive way. Through my behaviors, somewhere she also noticed that I had changed, and she started trusting me. So that was my first biggest achievement in our relationship. On that day, we were actually ready to live with each other. It was a very happy and a very win-win situation. I also won, my wife also won, our both families won. Okay. So the judge was also very happy.
Wow.
And and we told the judge that we are ready to cohabit with each other. And everybody was means it's a very rare moment in court. Everybody was stress free, everybody was happy, and it was a very beautiful day.
If you found that amazing, write amazing in the chat box. Write amazing in the chat box if you found that amazing. Somebody who was going through all this pain can bring back love. Just married for 5 days, become a modern alpha, and he brings back love. Not only that, today they have a child. They have a child. If he can do it, why not you? You're married for more than 5 days. You are, those of you who are, you have children, and he can do it, why not you? Why not you? The only way to do it is your wife needs to consider you as a modern alpha. When she starts looking at you, she should start admiring you, appreciating you, respecting you, not look down upon you. Now, there is a question that I want to ask to all those men out here where you're totally blocked. If you're totally blocked, let me ask you this. If you're totally blocked, write TB in the chat box, because I'm going to tell you a truth right now. I know the pain you're going through. TB is totally blocked. Okay. I know the pain you're going through, and I'm going to tell you why this is happening. And right now you could be saying to me, well, how can I change? Okay, I'm going to become a modern alpha. And how will my wife know that I've become a modern alpha? Because my wife has blocked me everywhere. Let me tell you why your wife has blocked you. Your wife has blocked you because you were not a modern alpha. You know what you did? Correct me if I'm wrong. You had a huge fight and you are angry and you blocked her first. If that is true, write yes in the chat box. The second thing you did was you started calling her up and started begging her. If it is true, write true in the chat box. You called her up and you started begging her. Ek chance de do, wapas aa jao yaar, please yaar, maaf kar do yaar. You started doing that. And sometimes you would call, maybe not everybody, but you would call in the middle of the night and bother her. You might start calling her friends, her relatives. And she got frustrated with your begging, frustrated with you asking for forgiveness. And she felt that this man doesn't love me. How many of you are having that bulb on moment? Write BO in the chat box. Why your wife has blocked you. Now, tomorrow, if your wife unblocks you, you're still that same kind of a man. The way you're going to talk to your wife is the same way. What do you think? What are the chances of your wife blocking you again? High or low? Right? In the chat box. You have the answer. You have not changed. Your wife unblocks you tomorrow for asking something like, you got a child. So she calls you up and says, I want, son's admission ke liye ye wala certificate chahiye. How are you going to behave? The same old way. What are the chances of your wife going to block you again? High. She's going to block you again because you are the same old person. You have not changed. Now imagine that you change internally. And 1 week down the line, for some reason, your wife unblocks you. The way you talk is different. Your tone is different. Your behavior is different. You're not begging her. You're not fighting with her. You're listening to her. You're understanding her. What are your chances of your wife keeping you unblocked? High or low? You have changed. The way you speak to her is very different. Exactly, it is going to be high. She'll keep you unblocked because she would say to herself, what happened to this guy? Is that making sense to everybody? If it is yes, write MS in the chat box. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. MS is making sense. And I'm going to show you a proof of exactly what I'm talking about, because this is not theory, gentlemen. It is practical. It is practical. So here is a proof of somebody was totally blocked by his wife. He became a modern alpha, and listen to what happened. And the best part is this. Many of you are not going through this situation. That is, he was in a different country. Maybe you are in a different city, maximum. I'm sorry, he was in a different country. And being in a different country, she was in India, he was in a different country. Being in a different country, totally blocked. He brought back love. Listen to him.
When I started off, I mean, it was all fights and then finally getting blocked and then, the works. Right now, we are speaking, me and my spouse are speaking every day, multiple times on video calls. I wish I could meet her. In fact, I stay in a different country, so I'm not able to meet her as frequently as I would like to. Right now, we are interacting on a daily basis. I'm getting to play with my children, though virtually, yes, but I think I'm getting close. My wife and I are having moments of laughter and enjoyment. The journey is becoming much smoother. And finally, I think it's important to mention, as they say, you get in company of awesome husbands, people who are trying to become awesome and who have been in that journey. It's such a pleasure to talk to all of them and learn from them, learn from their insights, because as they always say, you are as good as the company you keep. I would like to leave you with those thoughts and take your decision quickly to join this group of amazing husbands.
Awesome. So right now, is it okay if I start teaching you exactly how they did it? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. How did these men who are living in the same house without any love brought back love? Separated, how did they bring back that connection? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. So let's begin. The way to become a modern alpha, the first thing is you have to create positive experiences to change her decision. So let me talk about creating positive experiences. Let me give you an example. Remember the first time you met your wife. Where did you meet your wife for the first time? Just think about it. Where did you meet your wife for the first time? Was it in her house, your house? Was it in a hotel? Was it in a college? Where did you meet your wife for the first time? And when you met your wife for the first time, if you had asked her, chalo shaadi kar lete hain, in the next 2 hours, what do you think your wife would have said? Arey pagal ho kya? She would have said, are you crazy? I don't even know you. Now, that same woman changed her mind after 6 months. How did she do that? Did you beg her? Did you convince her? Did you fall on her feet? Did you say, give me a chance? No. What you did was you created positive experiences. Every time she met you, she felt amazing. If that is yes, write yes in the chat box. Every time she spoke to you, she felt amazing. That's why she fell in love with you. That's why you got married. Write yes in the chat box. The second thing is you got to invest in your personal development. So if you want to become a modern alpha, you got to invest in your personal development. You got to grow as a person. You got to work on your personality. You got to work on your communication. You got to work on your way you interact with the other person. You got to work on your way you listen. Most of us men invest in stocks, invest in shares, invest in houses, invest in gold. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of money, but their wife is not there with them. Their child is not there with them. They're drinking and smoking, wasting that money. Outside, they're really successful, but inside, they're hollow. Everybody appreciates them from outside, but inside, they're miserable. So the second thing you got to do is you got to invest in your personal development. Right now, at this moment, I would have invested at least 12 lakhs on my personal development. Going to mentors, going to coaches to become my best version. And when I become my best version, my marriage improves, my business improves, my career improves, my health improves, everything improves. Because everything around me is my reflection. When I change, my reflection changes. If you got that right, GT in the chat box. So the second thing you got to do is invest in your life, in your personal development. The third thing is you got to learn to manage emotions. Right now, the biggest problem that you have is managing your emotions. Your emotion of depression, your emotion of frustration, your emotion of desperation, your emotion of panic. And when you were married, then your emotion of anger. When you were together, either you didn't know what you used to do was whenever you get angry, you would shout at your wife or you would suppress it. And then it will come out in wrong ways. If that is true, write true in the chat box. Either you would shout and scream or you will suppress it and it will come in wrong ways. And that was the problem. So the third thing you got to learn is you got to manage your emotion. The fourth thing you got to learn is practice forgiveness. Love and hatred cannot go together. On one side, you are not able to forgive your parents, forgive your in-laws and your wife. You cannot bring back love. You cannot bring back love. But is forgiving is easy? No. That's why you got to invest in learning all this stuff. If it was easy, everybody could have done it. The fifth thing is you got to build trust in your relationship. Right now, I can give it to you in writing. The reason you're in the same house, your wife is not even giving you a hug or a kiss. Forget about having sex with you, is because she doesn't trust you. Right now, your wife is having an affair with somebody is because she trusts that man more than you. Right now, your wife is talking to your in-laws and she's talking to them and listening to them because she doesn't trust you as much as she trusts her parents. Now imagine in the next 6 months, I will change that for you. How will that be? If it is awesome, write awesome in the chat box. In the next 6 months, I will make your wife to change her mind from trusting your in-laws to trusting you. How will that be? Write awesome in the chat box. Now, these are the 5 skills that you need. So right now, my question is, how many of you are ready to know more about this training? If you are ready, write SR in the chat box, where I'm going to show you the exact path. What is it that you need to do for the next, let's say 6 weeks or 12 weeks, and what is the way your wife is going to change? If you're ready for that, write super ready in the chat box. And I'm going to lay out the whole journey for you. But before that, I want you to know that this is not for everyone. It is not for you if you are a kind of a person who has no emotional intelligence. It is not for you. Somebody who is able to understand that right now, the reason why you're having these problems is not because of anything else. It's because you're stuck in power struggle and your wife doesn't consider you as a modern alpha. If you don't understand this, this is not for you. I'll give you an analogy for helping you to understand what I mean. And if you don't understand this right now, what's going to happen? Imagine that you want to buy an aeroplane. So you go out there, you go to people, and once you go to these people for buying the aeroplane, you say, I want to buy this aeroplane with a partner. So you look for a partner, and along with your partner, both of you buy this aeroplane. On the day of flying this aeroplane, you call a lot of people. These people come there. At the end of this, these people who have come for this function, inauguration of the aeroplane, put you inside the cockpit of the aeroplane and say that tomorrow onwards you got to fly this aeroplane. And when I'm saying aeroplane, I mean your marriage, and you're not able to fly it. Is it because there is something wrong with you? No. Is it because there is something wrong with your partner? No. It is because both of you don't know how to fly this plane. If you're emotionally intelligent, you'll say to yourself, "Arey, mujhe to plane fly karna nahi aata hai, isliye my plane is not taking off, or I had a crash land. That's why the problems are happening. What is the point in blaming my wife, blaming my in-laws? Let me learn." If you're not emotionally intelligent, you will blame your partner, and then you'll get out of that aeroplane. After 3 years, you look for one more aeroplane, get with one more partner, you'll get inside that aeroplane, and the same thing will repeat. Why? Not because of anything else. It's because you don't know how to fly this aeroplane. Marriage is like an aeroplane. It has so many buttons, it has so many things, and there's no training in the world which prepares us for this. If you got that, write GT in the chat box. And that's why I do this. And if you understand everything that I'm saying, then this journey is for you. This training is for you. If you are somebody right now going through depression, frustration, and you want to get out of this and you want to feel happy again, you want to feel peaceful again in the next 6 weeks, then this training is for you. If you are right now, love your children from the core of your being, and you want to give them the best childhood in the world, happy childhood, then this training is for you. So if you resonate with everything that I'm saying, then this journey is for you. So let me ask you this. How many of you realize that there's a lot more to learn than what I could teach in the last few minutes? Right? Yes, in the chat box, if you could realize that. And all that I could teach you is just the tip of the iceberg. And from now on, I want you to pay very good attention to every detail I'm going to share. And my question is, how many of you realize that if you don't learn this science, if you don't become a modern alpha husband, you'll continue to live in this miserable marriage. Your wife will continue to disrespect you. And the only option you will have is to get out of this marriage or suffer. How many of you realize this? Right? I do in the chat box. How many of you realize that if you get out of this marriage without becoming a modern alpha and get married to somebody else, that woman also will start looking down upon you? How many of you realize this? Right? I do in the chat box. And because your wife is looking down upon you, your children will also look down upon you. How many of you realize that? Right? I do in the chat box. At the age of 60 or 65, when you are old, your children are in their 20s or 30s, they'll come to you and say to you that, what kind of a dad are you? You destroyed our life. Why did you give birth to me? This can happen to you. How many of you realize this? Right? I do in the chat box. They will say you, okay, my mom was not willing to do it, but you attended a class, you went through something, you could have done something. There are so many coaches out there. Why didn't you invest in yourself? How many of you realize this? Right? I do in the chat box. And that is why, gentlemen, I've created this training. There are different levels, different memberships, but the first thing is start working on yourself. So my question for you is it okay right now if I show you this 12-week training program? If that is okay with you, write BO in the chat box. BO is bring it on, or BIO in the chat box, that is bring it on. I'm going to show you in the next 12 weeks how you're going to become a modern alpha. How are you going to reset the way you're thinking? How are you going to reset your behavior? How are you going to reset your communication? How are you going to reset the way you approach the situations of your life? And how are you going to reset the way you approach your wife? And how exactly your wife is going to change? Are you ready to listen to this? Right? BIO in the chat box. The next 15 minutes are the most important part for those of you who are going to take up this training and transform your life in the next 12 weeks. If you're ready, write BIO in the chat box. Right? BIO, and it is only for people who are serious. If you're not somebody who is serious, then this is a time for you to leave. Don't waste your time. But if you're going to stay till the end. Listen to everything that I'm going to share, because this one decision you're going to make today will transform your marriage. It is going to transform your life. 12 weeks later, you will send me an email saying that, Val, I was feeling so depressed. I was feeling suicidal. Now I have absolute focus on my career. 12 weeks down the line, you're going to send me a message saying that, Val, you know what happened? My wife not even used to look at my face. We live in the same house, not even look at my face. And now she's laughing and talking to me. 12 weeks down the line, you're going to send me a message saying that, my in-laws were against me, but now my in-laws are on my side. 12 weeks down the line, you're going to send me a message that I was blocked on all channels. I couldn't even talk to my child, but now my wife has unblocked me and I talk to my child every weekend. This is what's going to happen. So Modern Alpha Reset is a 12-week training program. Ready? Let's begin. So the first thing of this training program is that there are 3 parts to this. The first part of this training program is called Self-Love Reset. So let me explain what is Self-Love Reset and how you're going to reset your self-love quotient. Right now, how many of you are feeling desperate and are in a panic? Let me in the chat box. How many of you are feeling this way? Desperate and in a panic. And do you agree that when you are desperate and you are in a panic, you have a high possibility of doing a mess in your life? If you agree, write agree in the chat box. Because you're desperate to get your wife back, because you're desperate to connect with her, because you're desperate, she's moving away and away and away from you. Now, that desperation is happening because you're not loving yourself right now. You think that without my wife, I can't love myself. I need my wife back and then only I can love myself. And because of that, you're begging her. You're begging her, you're asking for forgiveness. Because of that, you are into addiction. Am I making sense to you? Write MS in the chat box. So the first thing we are going to do is we are going to reset your self-love. Love for yourself. I'm okay without my wife. I'm lovable without my wife. It is okay my wife doesn't come back. I love myself just the way I am. Now, when you start feeling this way, when you connect with your wife, will you be begging her? Will you be asking for forgiveness? Will you be convincing her? No. You're happy as you are. You want your wife to come back, and for that, you're going to become a modern alpha, and I'm going to teach you how to, but you're not beggar. Am I making sense to you? So the first part of the training is self-love. The second part of the training is Modern Alpha Reset. That is the way you are thinking about your marriage, about your wife, about your children, about blog, about trusting. I'm going to unravel that. And the third one is you're going to show up this Modern Alpha. Your wife is going to see this Modern Alpha, and I'm going to show you how do you show this person, that new person, that the new version that you have become, how do you show it? So let's start with first thing, self-love respect. Okay. So the self-love respect or reset happens with the first video training that you're going to go through as soon as you get into the program called Self-Love Formula. Inside this particular program, video training, you're going to understand how do you love your wife without she being, how do you love your life without your wife being there? How do you take care of yourself? Because most of you are not eating on time, you're not sleeping on time, you're depressed, you're frustrated, you're suicidal. How do you take care of yourself? Would that be a good idea? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. Even before your wife comes back, you love yourself, you take care of yourself. Is that a good idea? Is there a higher possibility that if you start loving yourself, taking care of yourself right now, when your wife comes back or when things improve in your marriage, you will still take care of yourself? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. So the first thing is I'm going to train you through the videos. How do you love yourself? The second thing is there's a voice inside every one of our head. Is there a voice inside you which is talking negative? If it is true, write true in the chat box. That voice inside your head always says, my wife is like this, my wife is like that, she doesn't love me, her parents are like this, she shouldn't have done this. If it is true, write true in the chat box. There's a constant voice that is going on. And that constant voice in your head is making you feel depressed. If it is true, write true in the chat box. So the second thing I'm going to train you in is to control that voice in your head. Because of that voice in your head, you're not able to get up on time. Because of that voice in your head, you're feeling depressed. Because of that voice in your head, you're not able to focus on your career. And some of you could have lost your job because of this, or some of you, your career is going down. Is that making sense? So Hero Voice Mastery is all about training the voice in your head to talk things that will strengthen you, that will empower you. And the third thing is daily self-love practice. Because it is not only recordings that are going to help you. We are going to train you every day to do self-love. How does this happen? It is the live session every morning, Monday to Friday, 6:30 to 7:10 a.m. It's in the morning. Imagine that you get up at 5 o'clock or 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and then 6:30 you attend this session. During this session, you do meditation, you do affirmation, you start dancing, you plan your day. Do you think your day will be really nice? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. And because your day is really nice, you will be productive. Because you're productive, you will be able to focus on your career. Because you're focusing on your career, you're feeling confident, you're feeling happy. And then you meet your wife, you're happy. And because you're happy, your wife is also happy. You start connecting. Is that making sense? Now, this is the first part of the training. All right. There are courses, and then there is a live session every morning, Monday to Friday. And this live session is done by some of the amazing leaders that we have in our community. And all these leaders, once one leader takes up 1 week, and there is 1 week, I also take it up. So one leader takes up 1 week and they guide you, they support you, they teach you, they train you. Will that be amazing? Write amazing in the chat box. And as you go through this, you will feel amazing about yourself. That depression that you're feeling will be gone. That addiction that you're having will be gone. The frustration, anger, irritation will be gone. Now, this is DLP practice. The next thing is modern alpha reset. That means you got to change the way you're thinking. Right now, you change in a particular way, and because of that, you have problems. And because of that, you behave in a particular way. So the second one, you have to become that modern alpha. How do you become that modern alpha? I'm going to go step by step by step. The first thing is you're going to understand your wife's mindset. If you're together, then why is your wife behaving the way she is doing? All those of you are together, very specific training for you guys, because I know your challenges are different from other people. So if you are together, there is a very special training under this, where you understand why your wife is behaving the way she's doing. All those of you are going through a separation, your situation is very different. And I got a very special training for you guys. And all those of you are going through a divorce or gone through a divorce, very specific training for you guys. Now, as you're going through this training, you'll understand exactly why your wife is behaving the way she's doing, why she's allowing your in-laws to interfere, and you're turning things around. Now, this is the first thing. The second thing is, remember, how many of you have a problem with your anger? Write me in the chat box. If you have a problem with your anger, how many of you think that your wife has a problem with her anger? Write me in the chat box. And for you guys, you got to manage to learn your anger. You got to learn to manage your anger. And how do you manage your anger is exactly what I teach inside this training. And inside this training, you're going to learn science behind anger. What is anger? What is your and your wife's anger style? And then you will learn, you will go through a challenge. All these things you're going to do day in and day out, and your anger is going down. Your anger is subsiding. And then you're going to meet your wife. And how to meet your wife, I'm going to show you. Now, what do you do? How do you prepare? I'll show you. But imagine that you're going to meet your wife. How will be your anger? High or low? It will be low. And when your anger is low and your wife is shouting and criticizing, you'll stand like a man. No begging, no convincing. You're listening like a man, like a modern man. What's going to happen to your wife? She's going to say, wow, what happened to this guy? He's not begging. He's not convincing. He's not fighting. He's listening. Change happens. Change happens. The next thing is forgiveness formula. One of the most important thing you got to do is forgive. Forgiveness is not easy, gentlemen. And that's why there's a whole training on forgiving your wife. How do you do it? What to say? What is the training that you have to go through? Everything is covered inside it. The next thing is trust building formula. Right now, you know that your wife doesn't trust you. And by begging, by convincing, asking for forgiveness, the trust doesn't come back. The trust comes back when you follow a science behind making your wife trust you. I talk about the economy of trust. How do you deposit love rupees? What do you know? When to do it? How to do it? Everything about trust is covered here. So that every meeting that you have with your wife, if you're separated, will bring back trust. Every time in the morning to evening, everything that you do, if you're together, will bring back trust. So this is about trust building formula. The next one is all those of you are blocked right now. Do you believe that you need training to get your wife unblocked? Yes, then write yes in the chat box. Do you believe that you need training to get your wife unblocked? And once she unblocks you, do you believe that you need training to talk to your wife in a particular way so that she keeps you unblocked? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. And for you guys, I've created this very special video training to get your wife unblocked. And inside this, you'll understand why she has unblocked you. What are the mistakes we do when a wife unblocks? What are the things you got to do when your wife unblocks you again? I'm going to talk about every tiny detail to help you to understand what you need to do. And then you'll be able to connect with her. The next thing you're going to get is affair to affection. Is there anybody out here? It is all personally set. Nobody else is going to see your messages, only me. Is there anybody here where your wife is having an affair? Write me in the chat box. And it could be any kind of affair. Like your wife is friendly with someone, she's sending messages, she's talking to somebody, or to full-fledged affair. Me in the chat box. How would it be if I teach you how do you get your wife out of the affair? Without catching her red-handed, without telling her to block that guy's number, without going to his house and telling him and threatening him, nothing. And the way you're going to do it is so powerful that your wife will fall madly in love with you, and she will come to you and say to you that I was in an affair with this guy and I've given up because you love me so much. You're a modern alpha. How would you like that? And this is the training that you're going to get here. The next thing is the show up. Now, what you have done is, let's come back to the whole thing. What you have done is you have got training in self-love. Once the training is done, you have got training in becoming a modern alpha. Now you have to show that modern alpha to your wife. Now, how do you show that modern alpha to your wife so that she will see? The way to show that modern alpha to your wife, I'm going to teach you in 3 parts. The first part of teaching you how to make your wife see that modern alpha in you is awesome marriage separation to connection. Inside this program, you're going to connect with her as an alpha. That means how do you go to a house? What do you say? How do you connect with her? All that training is given here. The second thing is, and this is true for even if you are living in the same house, because if you're living in the same house, the show up of this modern alpha happens every moment. Morning when you get up, what do you do in the kitchen? How do you help her or not help her? How do you, keep the house? When you go out, how do you come back? What do you say? Everything is covered. The next thing is Herothon Intense Training, where I teach you how do you connect with your wife at a very, very deep level. And finally, live boot camp at the end of the month. 3 days intense training I'm going to do with each one of you. Intense training. Why is it so intense? Because I do role plays. It is not theory. I'm going to show you role plays where if you're living in the same house and your wife starts fighting with you, what exactly do you do so that she ends the fight and the next time she's not going to fight with you? Will that be cool? Will that be helpful? Write yes in the chat box if that is helpful. If you're going through a separation, I'm going to teach you exactly how do you go to your wife's house. When you reach there, when you knock on the door, how your wife is going to react. And when she reacts that particular way, I'm going to show you exactly what do you say. How do you behave? Will that be cool? Will that be helpful if I train you like that? If it's a yes, write yes in the chat box. If you're going through a divorce process right now and you have to meet your wife in the divorce in the court, I'm going to train you on what do you do when you reach there. What do you do when you are in the lawyer chamber? What do you do when you're in front of the judge? If I train you a month and boot PM in India time, I do this training. Is this amazing? Right? Amazing in the chat box. So this is the show up. Now, as you're showing up, what's going to happen is your wife is going to connect with you. So you have started loving yourself. So you're not frustrated. You're not depressed. You're focusing on your career. Your health is amazing. And now you have become a modern alpha and you're showing up this amazing person. Now, there are a few questions that people have about this training. So I'm going to answer these questions. If you're ready, write SR in the chat box. So I'm going to answer some of the questions that could be there on your mind. So if you're ready, write SR in the chat box. The first question is this: how will my wife change? okay, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to go through blocked to unblocked. I'm going to learn how to connect with my wife. I'm going to meet her in the court. What are the steps in which my wife will change? Now, these are the steps for everybody, whether you're together, whether you're going through a separation, whether you're going through a divorce process, the steps are the same. The first step is this, or step 0 is this. Your wife right now is in something called a victim mindset. I'll explain to you what victim mindset is, and then you tell me whether you agree or not. Right now, your wife is in a victim mindset. What does it mean? When you talk to your wife, she always says, I've done so much for you. If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. You don't love me. You don't think about me. You don't understand me. Your parents have done this. Your parents have done that. That is called a victim mindset. Is she thinking like that? Is she talking to you like that? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. Now, if she's talking like that, if she's thinking like that, now you have to change the way she is thinking. So when you start doing self-love, when you become a modern alpha, when you connect with her, she will start noticing the changes in you. This is the first step. She start noticing and saying to herself that, "Ho kya raha hai? Why is he behaving like this? Why is he like that?" And that leads to a second step that is called doubt. Now, those of you who are talking on the phone, you might ask me, how will my wife know? Write this down. Human brain picks up the change in the other person at 1/300th of a millisecond. 1/300th of a millisecond, the power of blinking the eye, your wife will know that there is a change in you. And then she's going to doubt the change. She's going to think for herself, he's changing because it's the new technique. He's trying to get me back. He's trying to do this. He's trying to do that. He wants sex. He wants this. He wants that. That is called doubting. And that is a good thing, gentlemen. When your wife doubts your changes, it is a very, very good thing. Most people don't realize this. Because after doubting comes resisting. Your wife will start telling you on your face that ye sab nautanki band karo, ye sab drama band karo. I know you are like this. But the best part is when that is not resisting. That is called testing. Every woman tests a man before she trusts him, whether it is before marriage or after marriage. You got that? So resisting, and that leads to trust. And when she starts trusting, she will come out with you for a date. You will be going for a second honeymoon. The love will come back and you will have an amazing marriage. So the first question that I've answered, how will your wife change? By following this method. Now, the next thing is, who is this training for? This training for you is if you're together, going through a separation, going through a divorce process, you're blocked in an affair, in-laws interference, anything, you can go through this training and bring back love. When does the training begin? The training begins tonight. As soon as you get into the program, you will get access to all the courses, all the live sessions, and the training begins tonight. All right. We are not going to say that. I'm not going to say the training will begin by March. Then between now and March, you are having problems with your marriage and things get worse. No, it will begin tonight. The next thing is, how much do I need to invest? Invest with regard to time. Roughly 45 minutes a day for going through all the courses. Video recordings, 45 minutes a day. That's all. Out of 24 hours that you have, you got to invest just 45 minutes a day. That's it. Every day to complete the courses. And over 15 days, you'll be able to go through all the courses. All right. What can I expect in 6 weeks? In the next 6 weeks, in the next 1 week, you will be out of depression. You'll be out of frustration. You'll be out of anger. You will be out. Your addiction would have come down. You will start feeling happy. You will start feeling relaxed. You will start feeling peaceful. You will be able to focus on your career. Your productivity will go up in the first 1 week or 2 weeks. And then when you start showing up with your wife will start noticing the changes in you. Your wife will start doubting the changes in you. Your wife will start resisting the changes in you. And then small amount of trusting will start happening. All right. So what can I expect in the next 6 weeks? What happens after this? What happens after these 6 weeks or 12 weeks? Let's say after these 12 weeks, what's going to happen is I'm going to check your progress with regard to how many courses have you completed? Are you attending the classes? I'm going to check all that. And if I notice that you're really committed, really serious, I'm going to extend another 12 weeks. Next thing, what if I have questions? Let's say as you're going through the training program, you're attending this. What if you have questions? There are 2 ways I answer your questions. One is Awesome Marriage Solution Library. We have a whole bank of all the questions which are answered. You just go there. I'll show you how to do that. Go there and find the answers. The second way is I do a live session every Monday at 9 o'clock where I answer your questions live. So you don't have to worry about any question that you have. It is not that just I give you the training, I'll tell you to do it. No, I'm going to be there week after week to support you. The next question, is there any on-demand personal support? It means that, okay, on Mondays you are there. Mondays you're going to ask question, answer question. But what if I have a personal question and I immediately need a response from you? Do you have on-demand personal support? The answer is yes. If you have a question, you can email me anytime, as many times as you want, and I will respond to you within 24 hours, most of the time, if not 48 hours. So you got on-demand personal support. The next question is there any class for wife? Let's say I start working on myself, the love is coming back, the understanding coming back, and I want my wife to also learn this stuff. Is there a class for my wife? The answer is yes. When your wife is ready, that she wants to also learn, when she starts seeing you as a modern alpha and she also grows, and there is a free class for your wife. It happens once a month. The next question is, can I get a chance to talk to you personally? This is, how many of you have this question on your mind? Write me in the chat box. Can I get a chance to talk to you personally? Write me in the chat box if you have this question on your mind. The answer is yes. When you get into the program, I am going to give you a call within the first 24 hours to 48 hours. And I'm going to understand your context. I'm going to understand your situation. And I'm going to give you specific guidance on what do you do next. If that is awesome, write yes in the chat box. I'm going to call you up personally. I'm going to talk to you one-to-one for 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm going to ask you very specific questions because I'm a doctor, right? So the doctor, you don't have to tell him the whole story. He asks you very specific questions. You answer them. He will give you a solution. So I'm going to guide you very, very specific. If that is cool, write cool in the chat box. Now, the last big question is, how much does this training cost? All right. So let's do a calculation right now. Before I tell you how much this training is going to cost you, let's do a calculation. How much did you spend on your wedding? Minimum more than 2 lakhs, maybe 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs. How much did you spend on your wedding? Let me know in the chat box. How much did you spend? 5 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 10 lakhs. And when I say spend, both of you together, because in some cultures, you don't have to spend anything as a man. Your wife's family spends everything. But what was the investment on your wedding? The second question is, what is the cost of your mental health right now? Is it more than your life? You're going through depression. You're going through frustration. There is no peace of mind. And you are going down and down and down. Most of you told me that your physical health is suffering. What is the cost of that? If you continue to go through this physical health problem, do you think you'll have a long-term problem in your life? You might be in your 30s, 40s. Do you think it will affect you? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. What is the cost of losing your job, business, or career? When you're going through depression, frustration, you're not able to focus on your work. And I know of men who tell me that I lost my job after my wife left me. What is the cost of your business going down because you're not able to make those deals? You're not able to connect with your customers the way you used to. What is the cost of that? At least few lakhs, if not more. What is the cost of your child's future? One of the research says that the children who have seen domestic violence when they were children and they have gone through the trauma of divorce and separation and fights don't grow up as a healthy human beings. They have low self-esteem, the confidence goes down, they're not able to have sustainable connecting relationships. So what is the cost of your child's future? So if I have to put everything, would I be right? At least if I have to put in money, it's not possible to put things in money, but if I have to put it in money, would I be right? The cost will be at least 6 lakhs, at least 6 lakhs. Now, on the other side, how much will it worth if you have in the next 6 months, peace in your house, peace in your mind? In the next 6 months, you have your wife falling in love with you again. How much will it worth? You're going out for dates again. How much will it worth? You have, in the mornings, you're hugging each other. How much will it worth? The next thing is your children are happy. They're able to excel in their career, in their studies. They're growing up. They're doing really well. How much will it worth? The next thing is you're excelling in your career because you can really focus on your work. How much will it worth? So keeping all this in mind, great physical intimacy, keeping all this in mind, what do you think should be the cost of this program? I'm going to put it as just like these men. Like I'm not, this is not theory. Like, this man is saying, want to share a good news with you. My spouse is coming to live with me on 19 December. Imagine that you sending me this message. Like I was talking about children. Today is my son's birthday. Together with my wife, we celebrated it. It happened only due to your coaching. Imagine that. I was telling you about physical intimacy. Look at this guy, physical intimacy. So keeping all this in mind, Modern Alpha Reset training, the value of this training is 1.5 lakh rupees. All right. In this, all the things that I spoke about, the training, the live sessions, the daily sessions, the weekly sessions, the monthly sessions, everything is covered. And today I'm going to give it to you for rupees 20,000. You pay 20,000 rupees. Can I give you something special? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. Can I give you something special? This is the regular price. It's worth 1.5 lakh rupees, at least. Can I give you something special? If it is a yes, write yes in the chat box. So the special thing that I'm going to give you is for the first 5 men who are enrolling, you're going to pay 20,000 rupees, but you are going to get live session. This is the daily session, DLP, every morning, 6:30 to 7:30. You're not going to get it for 3 months. You're going to get it for 6 months. The first 5 men only. You're paying same amount, 20,000 rupees. You're going to get this for 6 months. The second thing is Monday meetup Q&A live session. You're paying just 20,000 rupees and you are going to get this not just for 12 weeks, but 6 months. The next thing is Modern Alpha Live Bootcamp. Every end of the month, I do a 3-day live bootcamp. You're not going to get just for 12 weeks. For the first 5 men, you're just paying 20,000 rupees, the same training amount, but you're going to get it for double the time, 6 months. Access to video training, not 12 weeks, you're going to get it for 6 months. And you're just paying 20,000 rupees. That's it. Is that amazing? Now, before I give you the link and you make the payment and get into the program, and then I'm going to give you a call and I will guide you, I want to tell you why I'm doing this. I know the pain you're going through. I know the struggles you're going through. I know the challenges you're going through. And right now, I'm on your side. At the lowest point in my marriage, I made that decision. I realized that for me, peace is very important. Love is very important. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to bring peace and love into my life. Because if I don't have peace and love into my life, my health will go down. My energy will go down. I'll not be able to focus on my career. And I made a very important decision of my life. And because of that one decision, everything transformed. Love came back. Understanding came back. And not only that, gentlemen, today, at this moment, just before I started this class, Pallavi came here, gave me a hug and a kiss. And she said, I love you. Imagine that happening to you on a Sunday morning, your wife giving you a hug and a kiss and saying, I love you. It's happening to men in our community. Right now, I remember 3-4 years ago, I was going through a very difficult financial condition. Pallavi gave me the money that her father had given to her before the wedding. Imagine. And she said to me, Val, use this money, pay for your credit card bills. She didn't shout at me, scream at me, because we were each other's best friends. And then she said, Val, if we go up, let's go up together. If we go down, let's go down together. And because of her, I'm doing what I'm doing. Imagine yourself, your career excelling, and your wife is on your side, supporting you. Your children are happy. How many of you like that? So right now, I'm going to do something special for each one of you. I'm going to do something very, very special for each one of you. And that is, for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a very special offer. How many of you want that? Write me in the chat box if you want a very special offer. In this, you're going to get DLP for 6 months, Monday Meetup live session for 6 months, Modern Alpha's live bootcamp for 6 months, access to video training for 6 months for the first 5 men. And I'm going to make it very, very easy for you to get into this program. You're not going to pay rupees 20,000. I'm going to give you a discount of 50%. If that is amazing, write amazing in the chat box, and you're just going to pay rupees 9,999. And this offer is valid for 10 minutes only. I'm going to put up a timer right now, and in the next 10 minutes, whoever gets in gets this offer. Are you ready for the link? Write link in the chat box, and I'm going to grab the link and I'm going to share it with you. And I've also on the screen, you can just go to coachval.co/man, or you can go to the QR code that you see on the screen, and you can make a direct payment by going to Google Pay or Phone Pay. All right. Once you make the payment, let me know, and I'm going to check from my backend, and I'm going to guide you step by step how to go about. So right now, let me give you the link, and you can get into the session, get into the program. So here is the link. You're going to get 50% off, and I'm also going to give you the Google Pay, Phone Pay number in the chat box. So here we go. There. So I've given you the link, and once you make the perfect. So all those of you have made the payment, I'm going to call out your name, and in case if I don't call out your name, then somebody from my team will write your name in the chat box. So once you make the payment, just let me know. Just say paid in the chat box, and I'm going to check from my backend, and I'm going to call out your name. In case if I don't call out your name, my team is going to call it out. So, but before that, let me put a timer. And just give me one moment. Here is the timer. And once I put the timer, then I'm going to explain a few more things for those of you who are super excited. Those of you who have got into the program, just wait for me. I will just check from my end to see whether the payment has come in or not. But before that, let me see how I can put the timer. So let me just stop sharing at the moment. Let's see if I can put on the timer, and we are good to go. Okay, so I found a place to put on the timer. Those of you who have made the payment, I'm going to check. Just give me a few moments. Those of you who have used GPay to make the payment. Okay, the timer is on. Those of you who have used GPay to make the payment, in GPay itself, send me a message, your email ID and your phone number. Okay, if you have used GPay, send me a message with your phone number and email ID. All right, so that I can get in touch with you and I can enroll you into the program. All those of you have made the payment, I'm going to check from my end. Now, this is the steps. You can go to that code that you have, make the payment. Once the payment is done, you will get a